Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, Sunday night edition, episode number 65. Episode number 65. Tonight we got a great show for you. And I hope everyone has had a great week, great time with family. Spring is on the horizon, and I'm still celebrating. Yes, I'm still celebrating. Still celebrating the big 5-0. I think I'm gonna be celebrating it until the end of this wonderful Aries season that we're in. Shout out to all the Aries out there, man. If you're Aries, give me a shout out, man. If you, and be a good Aries and share out this post, share out this segment, share out and subscribe to the channel and all of our social media. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about today's world and the climate that we're in right now. And we're going to try and do it without being political, which maybe we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how the thought process flows for tonight's show. But we're going to get started. And before we get started, I didn't do my proper introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to all of the smarts around the world who are viewing the show for the first time and those who have been along with us since episode one. A lot has changed since episode one. Let me tell you, man. Man, episode one. If you go back and see episode one was a little scary. It was my first episode. I was nervous and shy behind the camera. It didn't really have, I had a little direction, but it wasn't polished. So here we are, episode number 65, looking quite polished, if I must say. And we're going to get into it. And if you're just now tuning in, please go check out our merch at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's the merch store URL. And like and share, subscribe on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, StreamYard, and Spotify. We're working on SoundCloud, we're working on the Purple app, and we're working on Apple. And actually, you know what? Those things may hold off until season three. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how we are by mid-season and see what other direction we may be going in. So looking to broaden the message and the broadcast for you. This is all for you. So before we get into tonight's show, we're going to, if you're not familiar, we do what I like to call my brass tacks. I've done the admin notes for tonight, but tonight's brass tacks is a quote. So you asking me probably like, what's the brass tack? It's a quote that I like to choose um, from influential people who have played a part historically in our present, past, and future. Tonight's brass tacks comes from Walter Cronkite. Here it is. We need not only an executive to make international law, but we need the military forces to enforce that law and the judicial system to bring the criminals to justice before they have the opportunity to build military forces that use horrid weapons that rogue nations and movements can get a hold of. That's tonight's brass tacks coming from Walter Cronkite. So, episode 65. Navigating the world we in, or navigating today's world. And I'm going to speak on a little bit of talking about things to come, in my opinion, as I see it, from the aspect of a possible, a plausible future. You know, there's a lot going on, and I'm going to always bring you the most difficult of all conversations. And you can check me here at 9 p.m. Tuesdays nights with Big Mike the Sensei. He's on Tuesday. And every Thursday at 9 p.m., we have a special guest. Shout out to my last week's special guest, Mrs. Tanya Pease. She's an advocate, entrepreneur. She has a lot of titles underneath her belt. Go check her out. See the podcast. We had a lot of fun. We went into four different topics on that one episode, and we were able to hit each talking point, and it was too easy. But she's involved in a lot of different things, including domestic violence, Corvette community, fashion, business opportunities. She's on different business boards, and she got a lot. She's involved in a lot of different stuff. Go check her out, Tanya Pease. I want to make my announcement for this Thursday's special guest, but I'm gonna wait. I'm going to wait. I'm gonna talk to him again before uh I'll talk to him again tomorrow, and we're gonna see what's happening. Surprise special guest. It's gonna be crazy. But we're gonna get into tonight's show. This isn't like all other episodes. Well, none of the episodes really are alike. I think, in my own opinion, that each episode is different from its own right, in its own right. And tonight is no different. We're getting real personal. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about the future. And you probably have too. Things that you probably are thinking about that keep you up at night after constantly watching the news, hearing the news, and you can't escape it. It's everywhere. Social media, every time you open your phone, yeah, whatever you're subscribing to is there. So let's say we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room. The world stage. The world stage. And it's crazy. The world stage is a crazy place right now. We're seeing this huge shift in power with countries all over the world flexing their muscles. It's not the old world order anymore. And that's kind of crazy. It's kind of scary, even. It's creating a lot of uncertainty. It's affecting global trade, it's affecting security, it's affecting the whole shebang. And it feels like we're walking a tightrope. You want to talk about the two countries in Europe who've been at war for some time now? Yeah, it's a mess. And it's showing just how fragile peace can be. The ripple effects are insane. Energy prices, food shortages, millions upon millions of refugees. It's a total humanitarian crisis on top of a geopolitical one. It's it's beginning to become a real wake-up call for those who are paying attention. For those who are paying attention, right? You have to be embedded with multiple sources to see everything that's going on. You can't just be tuning in to just American sources. You have to broaden your scope. You have to broaden your reach of information to get a broader picture of the world as as a whole. And then we have to talk about the tech stuff, AI. Now they're talking, you've seen it, autonomous weapons. These things that are mind blowing. The future that used to be sci-fi, and I've said it on multiple podcasts, is here. It's at our footstep. It's also mind blowing and terrifying. We're creating things we don't even fully understand, and nobody's asking the ethical questions. The ethical questions are huge. I always, hey, oh man, my family's on. The ethical questions I always stress per episode. It's always about the ethical questions. It's all about ethics. Who is writing the ethics, right? Who is writing the ethics, especially for AI? Man, don't even get me started on that one. We need some serious rules on the pathway forward before things get out of hand. It's like, for my gamers out there, it's like a video game. It's like a video game. Somebody is over there pressing up, up, left, left, right, right, down, down, A, B, A, start. Y'all remember that? That's that that's that's for my gamers. I hope I said that right. But it's like a video game right now, man. The transitioning of things that are happening simultaneously, even with the information that we receive on a daily basis, is constantly changing. It's definitely a flood the gate machine that's taking place. Flood the gate machine. But get this, everything is so connected. It's interconnected. Everything is so interconnected. A pandemic, climate change, massive cyber attacks, any of these could trigger a serious domino effect, crashing economies, affecting society as a whole. These are scary thoughts, but we need to be prepared. And I've been telling everyone since day one, this is the Final Boss podcast. And we're going to have these discussions, and I'm going to get you prepared. We're always talking about getting prepared for something. Get prepared to wake up in the morning. Once you wake up, make your bed. Get prepared to do that. Let's not forget, fake news is still a thing. Fake news is still a thing, and it's everywhere. And it's eroding the trust in institutions. It's tearing society apart, man. The fabrications are unreal. We need to be smarter about how we consume information and how we hold people accountable for spreading lies. It's right now a battle for the truth. That's why I like to drop sources, and I like to drop references that are scholarly that you can look up, and you say, you know what, the Final Boss podcast is telling the truth. That guy is on to something, because we're in a battle for the truth right now. What's the solution? What's the solution? I think instead of losing alliances, we need to be making those alliances stronger and creating even more stronger alliances with some countries and different alliances that we haven't thought of for whatever particular reason. Maybe we didn't think there was enough value, but everybody has value. Every country has value. We need to look at that. Start deploying more diplomacy and having a serious commitment to a global corporation or cooperation. I'm sorry. I got business on my brain. I just wrote a new business plan today for the Final Boss podcast. It came out really well. So I just did that today. On top of homework too. I've been super busy, man. Been crazy busy. We need to work together. We need to work together to solve these problems, or we're all going down like the stem of a firecracker. And for real, and I'm being frank, it's time to get serious. It's time to get serious. It's time to put away the foolishness, put away the nonsense. It's time to get serious about what's happening in our community, what's happening in our country. It's time to stop just sitting back and just watching things play out. It's time to get serious. Are you not serious? Are you not? You think because you aren't affected right now that it won't affect you in the future? Look at it like this. Here's an analogy. When COVID came on the scene, I started studying it. When it was getting when it had just hit China, I started doing some research, scientific reviews, and having conversations with a lot of different people. And I said to myself, by early fall of that year, it was going to hit America. But we were not acting like we were going to be affected by it. I said, this is going to be a global pandemic. This is going to be a global problem. Oh no, it's just people. Oh no, it's the naysayers. Oh no, it's just going to be in China. It's not coming over here. Like, listen, man, you have to start looking at how it's being spread and the pathways of how it's being spread. I said it's going to hit America. I said it's going to hit America November of 2019. I'll never forget. I was in the office. We was pre-planning some stuff. I was a branch chief for DOD, and we were pre-planning on some things. And after the meeting, I held my team, and I started talking to them about it. And a lot of people were none the wiser. They weren't following it. They didn't think anything of it. And I said, listen, you need to start preparing because it's gonna get here. And that was November 2019. January, December, January, February. So from December 2019 to February is when February really hit. But I started paying attention to the ones and twos of who and where these people who were traveling and they came to America and they were sick. And I'm like, oh, it's here. It just hadn't blown up yet. But consequently, by February of 2020, it was here. I had already started preparing in November. I had already started preparing because I knew it was going to get here. But let me digress and get back on topic. We talk about the job market, all the layoffs, and the job market itself is changing faster than ever. Autonomy, robots, AI are taking over jobs. And that's unsettling. But this is the change. This is what's happening. This is the future now. I like that. The future now. People are going to need new skills and fast. It's a whole new ballgame. What are you going to do? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in this new space that we're in? You've been laid off from work. You've been fired from your cushy government job. Now you got your hands in the air. What are you going to do? The gig economy and remote work, that's no more. At least for the government. A lot of corporations still have remote work. So there's still a lot of remote jobs out there. You just got to find a way in. You got to know somebody who's already in and who's really good at what they do to get you in. The put in the application and wait for a phone call. That no longer exists. They have AI screening these applications. AI is going to take over HR. If you don't think AI is going to take over HR, you're sadly mistaken. AI is going to take over HR. Why wouldn't it? You put the prompts in, pre-selection, it's a done deal. AI is going to take over HR, man. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. The old rules don't even apply anymore. And we need to figure out how to protect workers in this new landscape. It's going to become the wild, wild west. And I know it's like fear talk, but honestly, if you lay off 1 million government workers, and then what happens is corporate America or global America follows suit. Factories start shutting down, factories become more autonomous. These corporations start downsizing and they start doing the same thing the government does, right? What are you going to do when you have anywhere between 1 million to 10 million people without jobs, without careers? What do you think is going to happen? For those who are in power right now, what do you think is going to happen to your political career if you're not taking care of the people? I understand the change. I understand the technical advances that we're moving towards, but you're not taking care of the people. You're putting the people out there to take care of themselves. You think law enforcement and military is going to save you? It's not. It's not. I mentioned earlier, like I always do when I'm talking about AI ethics, AI ethics. It's a huge deal. And now corporations, there's a few corporations out there that are creating thinking machines that can think for themselves. That's almost like having free will, right? They're working on it. It'll be here. You'll hear about it. I just read about it couple of days ago. It's going to be on the forefront before you know it, before the end of the year. But with AI ethics, we need to make sure these systems aren't biased, right? Who's keying into ethics? Somebody who is on the left, or somebody on the right, or somebody in the middle who's bipartisan, or somebody who's non-political. Are the ethics that they're keying in, is it religion based? These are things that you have to consider. What religion? Who is going to be putting in the ethics of these AI platforms, right? Especially those for the ones that are autonomous and free thinking. Who's programming it, and what languages are you programming it with? There's a social responsibility that goes with that. Otherwise, we're creating a world of inequality and injustice. We need to be careful. We need to be careful. Lifelong learning is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. It truly is a necessity. We all need to be constantly upgrading our skills to stay relevant in this rapidly changing world. It is a marathon, not a sprint. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Governments and businesses, you guys gonna have to step up, man. You're gonna have to step up and help people adapt. We need better education. We need better training programs. We need stronger social safety nets. A whole new approach to supporting workers should be put in place. It's a shared responsibility. You're a politician, you want votes. I'm a voter, I have my needs. You say you are going to be the voice of my needs, then I shouldn't be unemployed, right? That sounds about right. It's a shared responsibility. We have to stop putting these people in power who aren't the voice of our voice. We have to do that. That also is social responsibility. You know, um, so many people are upset about the political space right now. I'm like, what are you upset about? You voted those whoever you voted for. Are they are not in line with your political views? Why are you upset? What are you upset about? I know I make it sound easy. I know it's not an easy conversation or an easy discussion to have. Same thing. But you did it, and because you did it, you got to deal with it. Climate change. What's going on with climate change? Climate change is forever changing. Is climate change real? A lot of people say, "Oh man, climate change isn't real." Well, I know that I don't know if it's climate change, but the Earth is always changing. The plates that are underneath our feet are always moving. The ocean has plates and they're always moving. I don't think that has anything to do with climate change. Are earthquakes caused by climate change? Look, I'm not one of those people who can really speak on those things. I'm just using common sense uh in my own opinions. Just using common sense for that. But there was just a major earthquake in Miramar the other day. I think it was another one today at I forgot where it was at. But both of those earthquakes were in the 7 magnitude and higher, reached for as far as Thailand and India. You know, I think we need to recognize that it's not climate change and that it's actually the earth changing and it's always changing. I think that's what we need to do. Recognize that. Come together and have those conversations. I think that's an easier way to attack that subject. And in that, it's not some distant threat anymore. It's happening right now. In the area where I currently live in, we had an earthquake here a few years ago. And then there have been small earthquakes here and there, but we never thought that there would be an earthquake here. Not in a million years, but it happened. I remember sitting in my office and my whole office was shaking. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, what's going on? We're having an earthquake? This can't be real." But it was. The level of tornadoes, the size of the tornadoes, and the irregular weather patterns that are rapidly changing. Now in the forecast, you hear fire winds in the strangest places. That's happening, and it's happening now. And the consequences, like we've seen happen on the West Coast, are devastating. It's time to wake up. You think it won't happen here? It's happening. We need a complete overhaul of how we produce and consume energy. We need renewable energy sources, energy efficiency. And it's not just about saving the planet, it's about our economic survival. It really is a matter of survival. It really is. What are we going to do about it? I know there's a lot of red tape that constantly happens with getting things pushed through the Fed. But I also see what's happening to that process. So it's going to be real interesting to see what comes out technology wise in the next couple of months, even years, without that red tape and those processes. We need the best of the best. We need the best of the best. Not yesterday. We need it here. We need it now. We need it today. We need it like yesterday. We need it like yesterday. Thinking about I mentioned earlier global cooperation. No country, no country, including ours, can solve this problem alone. We have a global economy, we have global trade. We need ambitious targets and effective policies to improve the global effort. And those efforts need to be enhanced to the highest level with technology embedded, highest level. The highest level. All these tech forums and tech conferences, they need to be acting like these topics and issues that I'm speaking of are are serious threats. We need to get past the how much money are we going to make? I think they are that ideology is dead. Instead of thinking of how much money we're going to make and fatten the pockets of these oligarchs, it needs to be about what's good for humanity, how to improve and sustain a better humanity, right? On a global scale with full global cooperation. When the climate change or the things that they are predicting that may happen hit the global economy, the extreme weather, supply chains will be disrupted. It's going to cost us a fortune. You think the price of things that are rising now is something to be reckoned with? No, we haven't seen anything yet. It's going to cost us a fortune. Groceries will cost you a fortune if you can get it. Because if the logistic chains are broken because of, man, we're teetering so close to something global. Uh, One major, ginormous volcanic eruption can disrupt the flow of the entire globe. Just one. One. And I'm not talking about, volcanoes erupt every day. I'm talking about something major. One of these silent planet killers that they're talking about. One of these silent planet killers. Oh, by the way, they say that the volcano in Yellowstone, and don't quote me on this, I might be wrong. The volcano in Yellowstone might be a silent planet killer that can cause not only disruptions from uh, the volcanic eruption, ash, earthquakes, tsunamis, man, erratic weather patterns, blocking out the sun. I mean, the list goes on. Just one, just one. And I know everyone is tense, everyone is feeling it. The possibility is there. What are you going to do about it? Right? You can't live in fear. I'm not telling you to do that. You can't live in fear. You have to continue with your daily life, but you have to be cognizant of what's happening and what's going on. Something like that we can't prevent. We don't have the technology to prevent. At least I don't think we do. This ain't Star Trek, but I don't know. But if one of these volcanic planet killers was to erupt, and they have erupted before, These things are possible. These things are possible. The things that we can change, we need to invest in climate resilience. And we need to do that now. We can do that now. That part is an economic imperative. These are tangibles that we can do. The tangibles, let's do full effort, right? Get past how much money it's going to make us as a corporation. How are we going to be socially responsible to assisting with prolonging humanity? That should be the climate. That should be the space we're in. We all need to do our part, live more sustainably. There's a lot of talks of reducing your carbon footprint. But if just our country is reducing our carbon footprint, the rest of the world has to do its part as well. And when I tell you, being in the military and traveling the world, there are a lot of countries that are not doing that part. Yeah, like for real. Carbon footprint doesn't even, it's not even a conversation. They don't even know what it is. They may have these meetings at the UN, but they're not practicing it, you know. And it needs to be a global initiative. Businesses need to come up with initiatives and policies that are serious about climate actions and take it upon yourself to do your personal responsibility and take on your personal responsibility when it comes to climate, right? If you don't know, I as everyone should know, it's still trending right now. But I turned 50 9 days ago, and it just had me to do a lot of thinking about the future. The night before, and the last night of my 40s, I did an episode number 62. It was an episode of personal reflection. Go check it out. I'll drop some gems in there. Go check it out. Episode number 62. But turning 50, man, had me do a lot of thinking about the future. A lot of thinking. I've seen a lot in my life. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and I definitely have seen the ugly. And what I've learned, and sometimes I was each and every last one of those characteristics. I was the good, I was the bad, and I definitely have been the ugly. No judgment. We don't judge here. We talk and we don't judge. And what I've learned is that adaptability and resilience, along with some consistency, are key. You got to be able to roll with the punches. You got to be able to roll with the punches. There's a quote by Mike Tyson that I love, and hold on, I'll tell you what it is. It's everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But what do you do after you get punched in the mouth? Do you do fight or flight? Do you prepare to fight back, which is the fight, or do you run? That's the flight. Do you try to de escalate? Nobody talks about that part, right? Nobody talks about that part. But what do you do? We need to be proactive and not always reactive. The organization that I recently left was always in reactive mode. And one of the things I used to say all the time was we're basically firemen, constantly putting out fires, always putting out the fires. But we can take courses of action to plan ahead. We could take courses of action to make sure that these fires don't get started. We have the necessary resources and people and academics to make sure that these fires don't take place and be proactive in preventing these fires from happening. We can be proactive about a lot of different things, but we would rather just be reactive, which costs more time and more dollars versus planning for the what ifs. Have you noticed that when you plan for the what ifs, it doesn't cost as much as it would when you're acting off the reactive? And that's across the board. That's across the board. Time is money, money is time. We need to be lifelong learners, constantly adapting to this changing world. We need to build strong networks, stronger networks. We need people in our circle who we can rely on. As Sensei would say, our pods. But I'm expand bigger than the pods. Just people. Make sure the people that are around you and in your circle you can rely on. People who you can support. You support them, they support you through tough times. It's not many people right now, that if your neighbor or somebody who needed your support needed $100, a lot of people don't have it to give. And they may want to, but they don't have it. They just don't have it. These are the times we're in. And I said 100. We could scale it all the way down to 20, 10, 5. They don't have it. They just don't have it. The future is always uncertain, but it's not hopeless. It's never hopeless. And it's always changing. We need to get away from thinking the future has a script. We need to get away from thinking that what we see today and how things are today means it's going to be the way it is in the future. We need to get away from that script. Have an open mind to the future because it's uncertain, but it's not hopeless. There have been many futures before our future. Now, let me say that again. There's been many futures, talking about the people of the past seeing their future, because we're somebody's future. We're the past, future, and our future will be somebody's past. But we have the power to start shaping it right now. This is my villain hand rub. Mm. We have the power to shape it. We need informed engagements, critical thinkers, and a commitment to building a better world from a global perspective. It's time to really take a look at killing the ego. It's time to start taking a deep, hard dive into killing the ego. And that ego is our country is no better than anybody else's country. Your country isn't better than any other country. That's closed minded. That's not enacting a true global initiative. The war talks, for what? What are we fighting over? What are we actually fighting over? Is it really fear propaganda? Everybody has all the land. You want more land? I'm quite sure there are things in place where you could buy more land. Hint, it's happening. But what are we actually fighting over? Why the threat of all these things that can go boom and kill millions and destroy the world environment as a whole? For who? For what? Why would we do that? It doesn't make sense. For economic gain? Economic gain where? How much more money do we need? There's trillions of dollars that is floating around this planet from our economy alone. You, you want to talk about oligarchs? They're everywhere. You got the oil oligarchs, you got the Russian oligarchs, you got the Asian connection oligarchs. They're everywhere. People with unheard of billions. Elon's not the richest person on the planet by far. He really isn't. On paper, yes, but families and family estates and royal families, they're not calculated in that. They're not calculated in that. I read an article a few years ago that I think the royal family from I think it was from Saudi, based off the oil they were selling just on Exxon alone, they were making $300,000 a barrel or something like that a day, maybe. But the numbers were, I don't have the information in front of me, but the numbers were ridiculous. That's my point. That's my point. The numbers were ridiculous. So, where are we? Where are we? We need a better commitment to each other, to the world as a whole, global efforts, global initiatives, peace talks across the board. And, you know, let's stop with the wars, the mindless, senseless wars, the genocide. It's senseless. We're all humans. We're all humans at the end of the day. And for that, that is our show tonight. I hope everyone has a great week. I'll see you back on Tuesday with the Sensei, Big Mike. We got a crazy topic that we're going to be bringing in. We're going to finish our conversation about family. We just had a major conversation last Tuesday on family versus relative. This week, we're going to extend that conversation and talk about something deep and dark. A deep conversation about divorce. Divorce in America. Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about on Tuesday. So, I see you guys back here Tuesday night at 9 p.m. with the Sensei as we continue that conversation on family. Yes, sir. While you're at it, please go like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Go like, share, subscribe to the channel. Send us some stars. You know what? I haven't got any stars in a while, man. Send us some stars. Send us some feedback at info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's the email. info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. Tonight's references. I got them. Hold on. Some of tonight's references come from only got 3 minutes left. I'm gonna just throw something out there. Robots and jobs, evidence from the U.S. to labor markets. America and China escape. Can America and China escape? That's another one. I can't pronounce his last name. The future of employment. How susceptible are jobs to computer sensation? Yeah. Wow. Technology and forecasting. Social change. There's just some of this stuff out. Some of the references, man. Not to be, look, we are all humans. Yes, we are. We need more humanity and less greed. That's the point. That's correct. Less greed. That's our show. That's our show. And we see you guys here again Sunday at 9 p.m., Tuesday at 9 p.m., Thursday at 9 p.m. for our special guests of the Final Boss Podcast. Be balanced. Be equal. Be smart. Y'all have a great night. That is our show for tonight. And to everyone out there, farewell. Have a great and good night.